Hi everybody. In this video I'm going to try to walk you through the steps of what Kant's deontological theory of morality is all about and what his categorical imperative is all about. So see if you can follow along with me. Now, whereas Aristotle's virtue theory focuses on the character of a person and consequentialism focuses on the consequences of an action, Deontology focuses on the act itself. The 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant is among the most important philosophers ever to have lived. His writings range across all of philosophy, including important works in metaphysics, what stuff is, epistemology, how do we know our world, and aesthetics, what makes things beautiful. In his 1785 treatise, Grounding for the Metaphysics of Morals, Kant develops his duty-based moral philosophy. For Kant, we can only be free and therefore achieve dignity if we are free to act morally. If we concern ourselves solely with the consequences of an action, we divert our attention from our choices at the essential moment of action. Kant argued that we can never comprehend the full consequences of our actions. Our minds are just too puny, and reality is too immense. Even if we could use our intelligence to determine the countless potential consequences which might result from any given action, possessing that information would deny us the freedom to choose to do the right thing. We would reduce morality to tallying up lists of pros and cons. Even though Kant insisted on the radical finitude of our minds, he did argue that we possess a moral nature which allows us to use reason to determine the rightness of any given action. Here are the steps in Kant's logic. First, an action must be done from duty if it is to have moral worth. Second, an action done from moral duty has its moral worth not in its purpose or outcome, but in the character with which the act is performed. Finally, duty is the necessity of an action done out of respect for moral laws, which you freely choose for yourself. It is only when you subject your impulsive responses to your moral will that you can be said to be acting free from any determining force either within your psyche, our instinct, or any determining force outside of your psyche, including self-interest. For instance, when you act kindly, even if there is no potential reward for your behavior, you are acting freely. Kant argues that we should do the right thing, period. Our motivation should not be the desire for a well-ordered personal or civic harmony, that's virtue theory, or to distribute happiness to the greatest number of people, that's consequentialism. Kant argues that we should act not simply in keeping with duty, but from duty. There's no moral worth in the goal or aim of an action. Instead, we need a method to describe the conditions under which we act. Kant argues that we should use our reason to develop descriptions of our proposed behavior at the key moment of action. He calls these descriptions maxims. Duty is the necessity of an action done out of respect for moral law. You do so because you recognize that the right choice is what reason demands of you. Your choice is not contingent on the forces around you or even within you. It is free. Here's the method Kant proposes we use to develop our moral maxims. It's called the categorical imperative. Never act except in such a way that you can will your action to become a universal natural law. Imagine that the UN had the power to do just that, legislate universal laws. And imagine that the UN had the power to enforce these laws absolutely. What kind of laws would you pass to protect the dignity of every person on earth? Kant's moral philosophy has a beautiful kind of inverse logic. Even though we puny humans are really incapable of determining the consequences of our actions, Kant asks us to imagine that we can act like gods, when we are given a moral choice. Imagine that you have the godlike power to make your moral choice in a given situation into a universal law as universal and permanent as the law of gravity. Try it out.